Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something a little different. Instead of a typical biographical deep dive, we're going to talk about a moment that profoundly shook the Hollywood community and indeed anyone who appreciates the power of storytelling and the impact of a dedicated artist. We're discussing the incredibly tragic and shocking passing of Rob Reiner and how this devastating news has resonated with someone who has seen so much of Hollywood's highs and lows, Ron Howard. If you believe in the enduring spirit of cinema and the shared humanity that connects us all, please hit that like button and subscribe because this is a conversation that truly matters. For decades, Ron Howard seemed almost untouched by the darkness that often shadows a life spent under the relentless glare of the spotlight. He's been a constant, a steady voice, a gentle smile, and a director with a long list of achievements. But behind that calm exterior, he carried battles and observations he rarely allowed the world to see. Only recently, in the wake of the news about Rob Reiner's death, did he begin to reveal a truth about the industry, about respect, and about the sometimes unspoken rivalries that exist between even the most celebrated figures. The shocking details surrounding Reiner's passing have clearly resonated with Ron, forcing him to reflect on the fragility of life, the nature of legacy, and the complex relationships woven into the fabric of Hollywood. His carefully guarded silence has finally broken, and what Ron has hinted at is far heavier than anyone expected, especially concerning the nuanced, often unspoken relationship between himself and Rob Reiner. Ronald William Howard's entire life has unfolded under the glare of cameras beginning on March 1, 1954 in Duncan, Oklahoma. Long before he could even comprehend what fame truly meant, his parents, actor Rance Howard and actress Jean Spiegel Howard, brought him into a world that blended boundless creativity with stern discipline, soaring hope with financial uncertainty, and childhood with the unforgiving expectations of show business. By the time most toddlers were just learning to speak their first words, Ron was already performing on film sets. At just 18 months old, he appeared in Frontier Woman, unknowingly stepping into a lifelong commitment, a path that would never truly let him walk away fully, not even decades later. The Howards moved to California in the late 1950s, chasing the rising promise of television, and Ron's life quickly ceased resembling anything remotely ordinary. Script pages sat beside dinner plates. His father balanced military duties with endless auditions, and little Ron, still losing his baby teeth, was already memorizing lines instead of learning how to ride a bike with neighborhood kids. The often isolating reality of his early years became clear later in life when he described that period as a golden cage. Safe, yes, but profoundly isolating, locked behind responsibilities he didn't choose and unable to connect with peers in the way most children do. Everything changed dramatically on October 3, 1960, when The Andy Griffith Show premiered. Ron, just 6 years old, instantly became Opie Taylor, the nation's idealized symbol of wholesome innocence. America felt like it owned him, a collective son. But behind the scenes, he was a quiet boy, diligently completing schoolwork in a tiny cramped room near Stage 40 at Desilu Studios, hearing other kids play outside while he studied between takes. His father fought tirelessly to protect him, challenging scripts, guiding him through scenes, and famously insisting he never act cute, only honest. That profound advice shaped Ron's entire artistic identity, but it could not fully protect him from the emotional cost of being everyone's child, yet never truly his own. Those pressures and quiet anxieties built up year after year, and now decades later Ron admits there were wounds from those years that never fully healed, wounds that would follow him into adulthood and shake the very foundation of his personal and family life. The price of being America's son and the unique perspective it gave him on the very public lives of people like Rob Reiner is something he carries deeply. As Ron Howard grew into his teenage years, the world saw only the dazzling success. What they didn't see was how deeply the relentless pressure carved into him. After The Andy Griffith Show ended in April 1968, Ron was 14 but emotionally far older than his years. He had spent 8 seasons living inside a fictional town, cared for by adults who loved him, yet unable to experience the messy, crucial freedom most teenagers took for granted. His schooling had been split between real classrooms in Burbank and rush tutoring sessions at Desilu. He learned math while stagehands rolled dollies past his desk. He ate lunch not with peers his age, but with Andy Griffith, Don Knotts, and the props crew. The small towering moments revealed the profound cost. During the filming of The Music Man in 1962, he was just 8 years old, terrified he couldn't master a dance routine. He whispered to Shirley Jones in a panic, "I can't do it, Shirley." She comforted him, and the production discreetly hid his mistakes by shooting from the knees up. Millions praised his shy, charming performance, never knowing the quiet fear behind it. Those hidden anxieties became an integral part of him, shaping a young man who performed confidence even when it didn't exist, a trait that allowed him to navigate the often turbulent waters of Hollywood with quiet stoicism, even when observing the more outwardly passionate and political figures like Rob Reiner. Then came Happy Days in 1974. Ron was 19 when he walked into Gary Marshall's office, unknowingly entering the role that would define his youth for a second equally impactful time. As Richie Cunningham, he became America's clean-cut, dependable boy next door. But while the world adored him, Ron felt the increasing weight of being locked inside another identity. By 1977, at age 23, he felt trapped playing a teenager while the real world outside was changing at a pace he couldn't ignore. The Vietnam War dominated headlines, and youth culture was shifting radically. Yet Richie Cunningham seemed untouched by any shred of reality. Ron even wrote a memo to ABC asking for just one storyline that acknowledged the war. They rejected it. The frustration built quietly and steadily. He felt invisible inside the character, unable to grow, desperate to break out of the perpetual adolescence the show demanded. That growing suffocation pushed him toward a life-changing realization. If he wanted to reclaim his identity and truly become himself, he had to step behind the camera. Directing wasn't just a dream. For him, it was a vital escape. This deep personal history gave him a unique lens through which to view other artists who, like Rob Reiner, found their voice and identity through their directorial work even if their approaches and public personas were vastly different. Ron's escape finally came in 1977 when Roger Corman offered him a deal that felt like a lifeline, star in Eat My Dust, and he could direct his own film. Ron agreed, not for more fame, but for the precious taste of freedom.